Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, ImperialDane. Featuring today a 1 vs 1 on Sturzdorf, and as some requested, it will be one of my replays. Reason I haven't been casting a lot of those lately, in fact, any, is, well, I haven't really felt most of them have been any good. This one is not going to necessarily be a huge blockbuster, but I mean, it's actually a bit short, but I thought that was alright, and I suppose it might have some interesting bits to actually note. So 1 vs 1 in Sturzdorf, me, the glorious commander ImperialDane, fighting for the 3rd Panzergrenadier Division somewhere in the Alsace-Lorraine region. Opposing me shall be 101Airbornecommander. Believe he's a smurf, as he certainly played higher than whatever rank he displayed while loading up, but I don't know really who he is. But fighting for the Americans, and let's just, I suppose, say fighting for the 101 Airborne. So let's get right down to it. Let's see what will be going on. And the sort of usual, let's get some pioneers out. The Wehrmacht quarters start going up. Good luck, have fun. Same to you. Barracks up from him, and again, note the sort of proximity to the edge of the base. In this case, the eastern edge of the base, because I want to sort of focus my efforts towards this half of the map, towards, you know, where the high fuel point is, and such. Although, of course, there are some problems. Again, I could, for example, easily get a bit more flanked here if the American commander then sort of decides to move through here. So it might also be an idea to sort of, if I can remember it, to also sort of prepare, you know, defenses here, barbed wire mines or anything. That's something I actually have to work on. But engineers heading out here towards the east. Barracks flashing up. We're probably seeing riflemen, only 2 engineers. And he's also, you note, he's actually going pretty heavily towards the east, going for the fuel pump, munitions, and probably other fun things. Volksgrenadiers on the way. 3rd Panzergrenadier Division was actually originally stationed in, I believe, the Italian area, and was then sort of later transferred over to the Western Front in preparation for Operation Herbstnebel, was the sort of large operation, sort of for the preparation called Operation Wacht am Rhein. A few Panzergrenadier divisions were pulled in, and that also meant, in fact, that there were Panzergrenadier divisions beside the 17th SS. The amount of Panzergrenadier divisions actually in sort of Western Europe 1944 was incredibly low. Most of them were Panzer divisions or infantry. But also note here, initial sort of sandbags right here in case of an aggressive American. Sandbags will then, of course, be of help. And the American commander continues his march towards the east. Riflemen joining in. High munitions point being secured. And I'm sort of more casually spraying out. Figuring I might as well get that slightly more broader thing. And of course I might be able to get something lucky over there. But marching onwards. Rifle and Volksgrenadiers is pretty close to each other. And I'm slowly advancing here, since I'm quite aware that sometimes you can get engagement here. But nothing happens, so I immediately set about with a fresh set of sandbags here, getting a Schwimmwagen. Why am I getting a Schwimmwagen? Well, there's a dual purpose. One, because it can essentially mean that I can get a bit more additional firepower up for my Volksgrenadiers in case of an early firefight. But there's also the secondary reason. In case my opponent goes for 4 engineers, it can be hard for me to spot that. But if I get a Schwimmwagen early on, I can sort of... Oh, notice. Oh, wait, he's capping a lot of power points. He's getting a lot of engineers. And then I can sort of also use the Schwimmwagen to harass the engineers. In this case, also note, Volksgrenadiers get cover is directional. In this case, they're not getting full advantage of it. I really should have moved them towards here, but I realized this a bit too late. But there we go. But still, they've just lost 2 men. Not really good. And for some reason, the squad lead actually managed to survive. Schwimmwagen joins in. 2 kills itself. And right here, managed to sort of throw the rifleman out of cover. Small engagement out here. Engineers and pioneers rushing off. Schwimmwagen quickly moves up to support, with more Volksgrenadiers on the way. And meanwhile, riflemen have pushed away my pioneers from the western half.
The enemy advances.
Bit aggressive, and the Americans so far are largely controlling half of the map. In particular, they're holding most of the sort of really vital resource points, and of course hoping to harass me of further resources. But Schwimmwagen to the rescue for now. Plus, of course, the pioneer nearby can of course help get my Schwimmwagen repaired and get it fit for fight once more. But Schwimmwagen sort of alright. Its weapon is essentially a bit more like an LMG 42, except it's more accurate, and I don't think it has some of the penalties. That's sort of the fun thing. It doesn't have the suppression, and I think there's some other details, but otherwise it's actually more effective to a certain extent. But riflemen moving in. Quickly need to pull towards cover. Of course, also note, I used barbed wire to actually deny him this heavy cover that easily. Volksgrenadier goes down, not looking good. Schwimmark moves up to flank. Heading again the rifleman out of cover with its LMG. MG42 moving up. Although not looking too well for the Volksgrenadier still. 4 kills for them. Schwimmark, 5 kills in fact. Volksgrenadier is also getting a few kills. MG42 setting up. Volksgrenadier is getting hit from all sides. They are getting surrounded. Schwimmark does manage to clear the retreat path, but they need to get out of here before they're completely lost. And this rather turned a bit grim, although I'm quickly pulling back towards a slightly more defensible position. And still the Americans are holding the fuel right there. This could prove problematic. Additional Volksgrenadiers arriving. And this fuel pond up here secured, and rather at this stage I believe he might be pulling out the Pioneers, because of course I realize he might be sort of heading towards there. Schweres MG-42 setting up, Rifleman getting a bit... No, they don't actually get suppressed. The Schwimwagen continues its harassment. And I dispatch some Volksgrenadiers to deal with what I might be suspecting is a threat over there. Minesweepers up. I worry he might of course be laying down mines. In that case, be active, be proactive, and get some minesweepers first before you actually hit any. And at the same time, I decide to lay up a mine right here. Riflemen charging right in. They have suffered damage due to the Schwimwagen. Again, an advantage of using a Schwimwagen. I mean, it can even just damage them, which again can give your Volksgrenadiers a slight advantage. There we go. Pushing in. Riflemen being slightly pushed away. Schwimwagen crashes into a line post, but doesn't actually get damaged. And here, I think 100 Airborne Commander makes a mistake. He should have retreated those riflemen much earlier. Instead, he actually ends up losing a rifleman team to my Volksgrenadiers. Not really the best situation, but now he's pushing up. Another rifleman team hitting a mine. There we go. But flamethrower engineers rushing up. Hitting the flank. That's less good. Schwimwagen rushes in. Volksgrenadiers and Pioneers doing what they can. MG42 trying to get out of there, but this is not looking good. Full retreat instead. Creek bags or skirmish phases ready, but at the same time, note I was a bit slow here. I have fear, and he's actually gotten a motor pool up already. But again, he's gone pretty much for the armored car rush. He's got only 3 rifleman teams, albeit he lost only 1 and 2 engineers. He's really been sort of edging hard to get an armored car out as soon as bloody possible. Also note what sort of is it. It's a T-17 armored car. The Americans actually didn't really use that. That was the British as the Staghound. Still, it is out, and I'm, as some of you might casually be noticing, actually lacking a creek bags. I'm mostly by now used to sort of fighting a rifleman with BARs. Armored car rush, not so much, but that does mean I'm completely lost. Though I'm certainly going to need to react to this rather correctly. And how might one handle this? Well, being pretty aggressive with Panzerfausts. And here where 100 Airborne Commander makes a slight other mistake. What do you call this sort of territory with this sort of narrow gaps and not a lot of a maneuver room? You call that pretty bad vehicle country. In fact, tank country. That's badass as well. And while he might be able to stop my Pioneers from taking the fuel there, he's also setting himself up for a bit of a problem, because what happens if I rush in with Volksgrenadiers with Panzerfausts? He can't get out. I mean, if I set someone up there and there, he's going to get pinned in, and if he tries to get out, Panzerfaust. So in that sense, he's a bit of a problem. Also note, I've gotten some with MP40s, flamethrower engineers trying to come to the rescue, but immediately running into a hailstorm of firepower. No doctrine as of yet. Volksgrenadiers, I believe, managed to get off 1 Panzerfaust, but they also get a bit damaged. Rifleman moving in. And there we go, continuing the hunt. Mine goes off there, fresh one. Once more doing a bit of nasty damage there. Now the Volksgrenadiers are on the hunt. Here, Yankee, the Staghound, and there we go, out of control. Blast out in the woods. Americans do charge in, and they're able to get close, of course, due to these sort of high proximity heavy cover. Volksgrenadiers getting scorched, doing their best, but they can't really do much damage, so instead we are seeing a full retreat. Schwimwagen might need some repairs again. An MG42 basically holding out there. Rest of the forces reinforcing. Pack 38 on the way. An MG42. suppresses and kills. And the Schwimmwagen joins in as well. Handling things slightly better, but there you go. Also setting out a bunker, basically preparing, you know, for something nastier. In which case, you know, medic bunker wouldn't be a bad thing. But MG42 getting flanked by the Airborne. And of course, Schwimmwagen is also in a bit of trouble. MG gunner down. Will the Schwimmwagen make it out of there? I don't know. But I do, but I don't tell. And also continuing a bit of harassment over there. Schwimmwagen goes out of control to those nasty Airborne before they themselves retreat. Having slain a hero of the Third Reich with 5 kills. But quickly, of course, not too late to sort of salvage. While even it's not even stopped burning, they immediately begin scavenging for parts. And there we go, a bit of munitions to add to the war covers of the 3rd Panzergrenadier Division. These riflemen really need to consider getting out there, and also might be an idea for Mr. 101st Airborne Commander to perhaps, you know, get a medic station or upgrade the supply yard. Again, you know, prepare for the long fight, prepare for attrition. And that's sort of what I'm doing myself. Medic bunker up. Might also be soon be considering getting a Kampfkraft sent up to sort of get some veterans for my troops, and usually that's a good thing because then that helps with survivability of your troops as the Wehrmacht, and that's quite beneficial as well.
Volksgrenadiers have taken sector point.
Point secured. Marching out in force. 101st Airborne Commander moving up here on the western flank. And Airborne will recall his rifles. Of course, he might be expecting some sort of armored business. I'm just setting out a Kampfkraft sensor and actually getting some grenadiers. Airborne moving forwards. Flamethrower engineers staying a bit cautious, not rushing in before at least they're all focused on the Airborne. Now instead it actually ends up in a full retreat. And I've actually gone Terror, Seal, and Inspired Assault chosen. Getting the most out of my troops that way, I figure. Being able to do the most damage. But also continuing up here, and he's laying down 2 mines, quite interestingly enough. I think it's a bit too late. He might also want to, you know, lay down some mines here before, but no such luck. And of course, it's quite interesting. He's not really been trying to sort of, you know, make any sort of decisive flank attacks up through here. In particular, you know, sneaking up the Airborne with the satchel charge, and those recallers rifles could possibly, you know, early on have knocked out my medic bunker, but he didn't quite seem to get around to that, so that's certainly a wasted opportunity, although it's still there. As you might have noticed, I'm actually a bit spread out on a sort of thin line right down here. This is disturbingly open. But laying down some sandbags, quickly stopping everything that's going on. Airborne charging in, riflemen, flamethrowers, and he's getting grenades. That's not a bad idea. Volksgrenadiers are getting toasty, and are quickly forced away. While the rest of the American force continues right out into the open. Versus Volksgrenadiers in cover, and whatever shall happen here. We are in fact seeing Inspired Assault. Grenade goes off though. We're still firing away with increased rate of fire and doing more damage, although they are easier to hit. We're also seeing here some riflemen starting to sneak in. Grenadiers sort of get away with getting grenaded. And already with 4 kills. Quite nice to see, but still heavily wounded. And Mr. 101st Airborne Commander taking advantage of this, of course, that he's actually managed to push me back. And apparently I forgot about those pioneers who were busy summoning that T-17. More Airborne dropping in. Supply and upgrade, that's good as well. Medic station, though, would also be good. This would be a nice positioning, I think.
Airborne, welcome to France.
But of course, quick to deny me my fuel. That is also good. While I'm busy reinforcing, and of course with Veterans 1 my troops will slowly heal, so that's certainly also nice. But having been slightly pushed back with that offensive mines going down, lovely. And there we go, mine goes off. Getting ready for some assaults perhaps. Barrels blow up randomly.
Okay, done building.
As I'm supposed they do in real life. And equipping the Grenadiers with an LMG-42. Well, because I can, because I want to try it out. Again, you know, test it out. Engineers trying to lay down mines, awfully close to my own mines. but they don't make it. Also note, veterans you want for the MG42 increases accuracy. Airborne goes down to a Sturzdorf, which was actually a World War I grenade.
Our front lines are collapsing.
And forced retreat for all of this. A few airborne do go down. Riflemen also quick to get the devil out of there. But charging through here, will we be seeing a satchel charge? No, we will be seeing a grenade right in front of the MG42 with, veterans 1. Looks like though, oh dear, MG42 will be going down, I fear. And it's time for the mid-game analysis yet again. Short game, but if you can get away with it. Current situation, well, he's, managed some penetrations, managed some damage, although he's also taking damage himself, and he needs to, work to sort of avoid the most of it, but I think he needs to, get rid of that medic bunker while he still has the chance, and I think he should have used those riflemen to drop the grenade, rather than the airborne, use them to pop off a satchel charge on the medic bunker, knock that one out. I mean, again, if you see it, and if, for example, you have satchel charges, do your best, get rid of it, or rush in some engineers with flamethrowers. Don't let it stay standing. I think that's a pretty huge mistake myself. Still, blows going off there. Things are not quite clear yet, although he's certainly bleeding. Again, he needs to work carefully with that. And he also needs, again, I'd say, consider a medic station. Storm armory on the way for me, though. Probably getting an armored car. And reacting to this attack up here in the north with the rather large force up here. Going to be sending in the automatic sort of thing, since they can get off most of the firepower against these infantry chaps. So little return to the fight. Pack is here, not really doing much. MG42 is down. That was a bit of a loss, to be honest. But more Volksgrenadiers. Airborne continuing to reinforce. We'll be seeing further grenades. Grenadiers moving up. No grenades, no satchel charges. Come on. And there we go, MG. Oh, grenade on the Volksgrenadiers. 3 down. Although he has killed off the medic, so that's certainly not bad. That's only going to prevent me from getting back any of those wounded from the grenade right away, if ever. But quick to secure what I can there. Perhaps some more mines. Actually getting a second T-17 armored car.
We are losing a munitions sector.
More flamethrowers. No BAR, so again, no medic station. Again, I really think he would benefit from that greatly. To be honest.
Sector being captured.
Quickly showing in that LMG-42 again. Engineers quickly going down there. Oh dear, Heinz set off the mine. And the Volksgrenadiers right on the eastern flank there took some heavy losses. And they got pinned. More grenade, and the Grenadiers themselves are getting grenade. They will have to pull away. Oh dear, 2 killed. Veterans 1 for the riflemen. Medics moving in, Volksgrenadiers moving up on the flank. And he immediately sets about actually trying to get the medic first, thus preventing any further help. And more stuff just randomly explodes. Another grenade on the Volksgrenadiers. Will I spot this? Yes, indeed. Mines go off again. Jolly good job there with the mines. Several losses right there. Volksgrenadiers, though, get pushed off. And once more. 101 can continue, although he did probably spot me with the mines right there.
Ground out there.
But the armored car is on the way. Schwere Panzergrenadier. Veterans 1 as well. Thus to sort of get the damage decrease bonus while you're at it. Certainly not a bad thing to get. Troops getting reinforced right here.
Supply drop is ready.
Not looking too well for the 101st.
Listen up, Paris.
Supply drop, I mean, not supply drop. That would be a bit excessive. Armor car quickly pulling back. Pack trying to sort of sneak up again. He's not noticed it at all. So in that sense, I do hold a pretty huge advantage. And I think the only reason he really bothered getting a second one is he thinks I don't have one.
Airborne, ready for duty.
And pushing up the center. Grenadiers leading the way. Volksgrenadiers following up. T-17 just sort of firing at anything it can. Interesting enough, I think it's also a bit of a mistake. He could have used the 30 caliber. He could have used the mortar to sort of press an assault or a defense, but he's missed that. Rifleman losing a bit to the Grenadiers, but continuing up. Further losses right there. Even getting suppressed by the MG-42 Grenadiers. One grenadier down, leaving behind the airborne with recordless rifles. Again, he's sort of preparing himself for any sort of armor, at least the armored car which you see now from me. More grenades. Volksgrenadiers go down a bit. Veterancy 2 up for my own infantry. And more grenades. And the airborne get pushed away.
Airborne.
Americans sneaking up the eastern flank. T-17 being incredibly cautious. And trying our best to retake points here. But he's certainly not letting up. He's being aggressive. He's just not really getting off enough kills for his attacks to really be, meaningful. He's basically grinding himself to death. The attrition is not really working in his favor. That's rather his major issue. Rifle engineers are pushing up. Pack actually gets discovered. Grenadiers and Volksgrenadiers doing what they can. I have no MG elsewhere besides that LMG. T-17 also moving up, but of course, there we go. My goodness, only one shot. Oh, right, yeah. Never mind. Apparently can happen. I thought he'd taken a few more shots. But more pushing on. Grenades on the Volksgrenadiers. Getting cut off. Armored car. Surprisingly dodging it all for now. Americans a bit caught on their own, surrounded. And veterans one for these airborne. Oh, dear. He actually gets the entire Volksgrenadier team. That was a pretty huge blow. Lots of wounded men of the Wehrmacht, although medics are quick to sort of take up on that, and actually getting a second MG42 to replace the one lost.
We have aerial recon capabilities.
And now he's actually getting for some of the air support. That's good, and getting a second supplied upgrade, although I think a medic station might also have been of help to him. It might actually have helped him much longer if he'd gotten it earlier. Might soon be getting a full grenadier team. Wreck getting, well, wrecked. And there we go, Grenadiers put together. Airborne getting hit by the MG40. Probably wasn't expecting that. And we are seeing Inspired Assault, in fact, going up, trying to get the most out of my Volksgrenadiers. The MP40s getting a few kills, up to 16. Grenadiers moving forward, and we are seeing, what is this in the background? Another supply drop, it looks like. And Grenadiers marching up this LMG-42. Laying down some sandbags. In this case, basically decides to wire off this area again to sort of limit his mobility, his possibilities. Instead, though, he decides to pull off an assault here again in the south. And again, without any support. Again, a mortar would have been nice, or a 30 caliber to sort of keep the defenders suppressed. Grenade right there, forcing the Volksgrenadiers away. Armored car moves up. Sturmgeschütz on the way as well. Grenadiers, armored car, grenades, LMG. Except they get pushed back. The Americans still fight bravely. But apparently they don't manage much, except actually this time around damaging that armored car. Further fighting. Looks like the Americans might be trying to flank about here, but no, they seem to have just bogged down, trying to recapture a point. Sturmgeschütz moves up. Veterans you want for that as well. Again, damage decrease, always nice. Armored car getting repaired. Grenade from the Grenadiers, where they get grenade themselves. Stug taking light fire from the recordless rifles, actually getting quite a bit damaged. A good few hits there. Rifle though are getting suppressed. They need to get out of there. Again, be careful. Veterans C1 MG42s are more accurate. They will do more damage. They will do more kills. Do not underestimate them, to put it mildly.
Field repairs are finished. Let's go, Junge, fall in.
But again, I do wish he'd used us heavy machine guns and mortars lying around.
Jawohl.
And yes, this is a bit one-sided now look at it, but you know, not all bad at least. And we'll have basically just wanted a short one after all those rather long casts I've been doing. And tomorrow I'll endeavour to do something a bit more perhaps interesting for you lot. Although of course I hope you find this one interesting. 101st getting ready once more. Now with BARs to increase the firepower. Although, of course, I've also increased the firepower of my Sturmgeschütz with Veterancy 2. And Panzergrenadier divisions usually had assault guns, not tanks. Which gives the Veterancy 2 for the Stuke, gives it a health bonus, and also, of course, notice gives that LMG upgrade right there. Grenadiers moving up. Now with additional LMGs, trying to sort of take what happens with more LMGs, rather than charging right into it though. Trying to spread them out in case, of course, of a strafing run. And there we go, getting suppressed, grenade going off. Doesn't kill any Grenadiers. And Veterancy 3 at the same time giving armored skirts, protecting against the recoilless rifles, who are taking quite a bit of a beating right there. Lots of fire. Grenade on the Grenadiers again. Armored car needs to get out of there. Could be going down. Unit lost, actually. I think that might have been Pioneers. Not sure. But Veterans 1 for the other airborne team. And Grenadiers managing this quite nicely. With the medics already on the job to pick up the wounded. Quickly shifting, deciding to keep up the pressure. Push the advantage. Although that Stuke is going to be in need of repairs before it can be used again. But 9 and 16 kills, although I have no idea how many were actually sort of contributed by the LMG 42. That's the harder thing to say. But again, 101st Airborne Commander does not give up, although things are looking pretty grim. Again, the lack of a medic station really has hurt him, and the sort of high attrition. Also note here, wire this area off, he can't move through here. Of course, if he's lacking an engineer, he's going to be a bit in trouble there as well. So what? Moving through the smokestacks, and actually decides to move up here. He could have moved through there. Rushing straight into my Grenadiers with LMGs. Head first. Although not all hitting. MG42 joining in. Stuke also moving up. Volksgrenadiers and strafing run. But sufficiently spread out and trying to stick to cover, so only one Grenadier actually goes down, although both are pinned. Still, the machine guns from the Stuke and the MG42 should not be armed with me, and there we go, quickly suppressed. Grenades going off, Volksgrenadiers getting run off. And the other Volksgrenadiers with the MP40s rush up. Stuke getting hit, but skirts do provide protection. And with the LMG functioning, I decide to go for another inspired assault, again increasing damage, rate of fire, all that. Other airborne are moving in, whatever shall happen to them. And they actually pretty quickly get torn through, and there we go. Airborne team down, and a pretty brutal loss right there for the Americans. And in this case, he actually decides to sort of retreat. So, I mean, what are the lessons from here? Besides, these sort of, veterancy is quite a nice thing. Gives your troops survivability, which is really, really important. Americans can really assemble a lot of firepower. In that case, you do need the veterancy upgrades to actually survive with BARs, grenades, all that. Again, veterancy really can mean a lot and really ensure you don't suddenly lose a lot of units in a blink of an eye. And of course, vehicle veterancy again helps with this. ImperialDane, let's try to keep those sort of comparisons away, please. I'm not that sort of person, though I like to sort of frolic with some parts of the sort of more soldierly bits. But again, anyways, veterancy, inspired assault can also do something. Again, I'm a bit unsure of the LMG 42, but I mean, it did alright. Schwimmwagen early on certainly also paid quite a bit of contribution. It helped my Volksgrenadiers early on. Did give me a bit of reconnaissance. Mines also certainly had their effect right there. Stopped a lot of assaults dead in their tracks. And he certainly could have probably benefited more from some more attacks up here. And again, satchel charge right there would really have cut things out for me. So, I mean, there you go. Do hope you enjoyed this game. Do hope you learned something. If you did, why not subscribe and tell your friends? And if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own? This is ImperialDane saying cheers.